Story 1. Stories from my grandparents' home. I'll preface this by saying that I don't believe in ghosts, but I've definitely heard things I cannot explain at my grandparents' house. Coming from an Italian-American family, my grandparents reproduced like dang rabbits. As such, they needed to find a house that could house them and all of their kids. They weren't wealthy, so they had trouble finding a huge house they could afford. Eventually, my grandfather found an isolated mansion, located on the top of a mountain. Don't ask me why he didn't question the situation, but the price of the house was suspiciously low. Well, he bought the house and moved the family in. Side note: as far as my grandpa would admit, he was told an old woman passed away in the basement apartment, but he thought nothing of it. Well, over the years, many weird things have happened in that home. Once a month for the 30+ years, my grandparents lived there. After their kids moved out, my grandma would hear a man calling her name. She would often go ask my grandpa what he wanted, only to find out he wasn't home or he wasn't calling her. As a 20-something, my aunt lived in the basement apartment for a month. One night she woke up and watched an old woman walk out of the bathroom and disappear into a mirror. She moved out right after and never slept there again. My cousin, 7 years old at the time, was staying the weekend with my grandparents. She told my grandma, "Papi Rob is here. I was just talking to him in the kitchen." Little did my cousin know, my grandparents were babysitting her that weekend because her Papi Rob had died a few days before and her parents were off planning the services. Allegedly, there was absolutely no way she would have known or overheard anyone speaking about his passing. Personally, I think she overheard people talking about it, but it's still creepy nonetheless. During a freak storm, microburst, that left my whole town without power for weeks, my family decided to go stay with my grandparents because they had a generator. My mother, who does not have a history of sleep paralysis, had the figure of a man standing over her the entire night. During the time we were staying up there because of the storm, I had a strange experience. I was sleeping in a different wing of the house from everyone else. From my room, I could see directly into bathroom across the hall. When I went to bed, the bathroom light was off. Later on, I woke up and the light was on. Naturally, I got up and turned it off. This repeated itself 2 more times that night. I was shitting bricks, so I could no longer sleep. Well, while I was awake in bed, I watched the bathroom light turn on. No idea what the heck that was about, but I slept the rest of the night on the floor of my parents' room. Let me add, there is no way anyone was walking all the way over to where I was just to use the bathroom or turn on the light. The house was way too big for that to even be feasible, and there were 4 other bathrooms that someone would have to pass before reaching the one across from me. The giggling. Right where each wing of the home intersected, there was a spiral staircase that went down to the pool area. From a young age, every single one of my cousins, including myself, there are 22 of us, had at one point heard a child giggling at the bottom of the spiral staircase whenever we would walk by at night. I genuinely have no rational explanation for this one, and it chills me to my core to this very day. None of us ever investigated it, but this occurred to each of us intermittently over the span of 15 years. For years, my grandpa swore up and down that the house wasn't haunted. Then around the time of his passing, he admitted to experiencing a bunch of unexplainable stuff over the years and told the entire family that the man who sold him the house told him, "Sand, I've got to warn you that the house is extremely haunted. I don't think you should move your family in here." Moral of the story is that I'm not sure what to do with that information. Like myself, my grandfather was very level-headed, logical, and not a believer in the supernatural. So it definitely shook me a bit to hear him admit he believed the house was haunted. The house is now about to be converted into dorms for a local university, so good luck to anyone that goes to a certain college in Connecticut.
Story 2. The Ghost in My House plus her backstory. Back in 2016, I was exploring the house that my family just moved into. During my exploration, I made my way to the basement. At first there wasn't really anything, but I then heard a faint female voice behind me saying, "Who are you?" Naturally, I freaked out and looked behind me. I then saw the vague figure of a pale woman with dirty blonde hair, red dress, white hat with a rose, and I noticed that she seemed to have stab wounds under her rib, stomach, and right side of her head. The woman then backed away slightly before saying, "Don't be scared. My name's Vanessa." After that encounter, I see her near my closet and my windows at night. During those nights, she hums songs. The only song that I've identified from her hums were Kitty Collins' "It's Been a Long, Long Time." She said it was because I don't sleep enough. Nowadays she mostly hums songs when she wants some company. Vanessa's backstory. Vanessa was born back in August 16, 1953, in Hackensack, New Jersey. She said that she moved to another state, the state I live right now, and bought the house back in 1972. She only finished high school when she married some guy with the last name Henderson. Their marriage was very rocky, with Mr. Henderson being physically abusive to Vanessa, him literally killing their child, and cheating on her multiple times. Mr. Henderson violently killed Vanessa since he wanted to be with his mistress. She was only 21 and it was on her birthday. From what I conclude from my first encounter with her was that she might have died from blood lost since she had a whole lot of stab wounds on major vital areas of her body. She said that she was killed near the boiler. To this day, I don't know where her body is. One theory was that Henderson could have gotten rid of the body in some way, but her body would have been discovered and possibly shown on the media. Another and most likely one was that Henderson could have put her body in the boiler, since the house was vacant for 30+ years until now, which gives time for a body to decompose fully. The last theory was that her body could be within the concrete floor of the basement. The last time I've been in the basement, I saw a cement mixing machine that looked run down and super old. In today's time, Vanessa shows up time to time to chat for a while or to tell a story. She also takes care of the other ghosts, making sure they don't harm me. The sad thing is that she always mistakes me as her son, Charles. As of today, she had mistaken me as him and read me a story, Three Little Pigs. I let her because I know that she's still hurting from his murder.
Story 3: Hotel Nightmare. Needless to say, I don't like staying at hotels much anymore. I drove 9 hours to meet my parents at a halfway mark to pick up my 2-year-old daughter at an agreed-on hotel. I assumed we were all going to stay there the night since we both had such a long drive. When I had grabbed all her things, I asked, "Are you going to stay here too?" My dad said, "No, we are gonna head back." I was a little disappointed, but I understood that they don't like hotels much. I checked in and went to our room. It was fairly late, but I don't sleep much at night. I am more of a night person. I turned the TV on and I was in my bed and my daughter was in hers. She fell asleep pretty quick, probably the car ride. I had all the lights off in the room, the only light was coming from the TV. I was sitting up against the headboard with my legs stretched out straight in front of me under the covers. All of a sudden, I felt something grab my toes, both feet at the same time. I quickly pulled my legs in toward me with my knees bent against my chest. I grabbed my phone and used the light on it to shine at the end of the bed. I didn't see anything. I sat there trying to look stoic, like I wasn't afraid, but inside I was screaming. I didn't want whatever it was to see me scared. After a few minutes of sitting there, acting like nothing just happened, I relaxed my legs and continued watching TV. Moments later, I felt pressure next to my leg, like a hand, like someone was leaning their body onto the bed from the end of the bed with both hands down on the mattress. Then I felt pressure as if their left hand moved forward and pressed down. Then, what felt like their right hand, moved forward and closer to my knee. Then their left hand moved forward. It felt like someone or something was crawling up to my face, slowly and methodically. It was definitely a Harley Quinn type movement. I could feel the palm push down first, then the hand rolled forward to the fingers. Imagine it like how a person walks, heel to toe. The motion was very similar and very exaggerated. It was creepy and unsettling, like it was having fun. I flung off the blankets and jumped into my daughter's bed, hoping her innocence would save me. I was facing the wall spooning her and I seen shadows go across the wall. I jumped up and turned the light on, frantically grabbing our stuff to pack up to leave. I went down to check out. It was about 4 a.m. The guy working said, "You are leaving early." I said, "Yeah, couldn't sleep, by chance. Do you have anyone ever tell you this hotel is haunted?" I laughed nervously, waiting for him to laugh too, which I wish he would have. Instead he replied, "Why? What room were you in?" I told him and he replied, "I don't know why they put you over there. I never put people over there. Ever since we got new owners, they did a cleansing on the building, thinking things would get better, but since then, things have gotten worse." I told him, "Yeah, I don't think it worked. I will never forget that, and I wanted to share it." Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to help support the channel.